All right, brothers and sisters, here's the second video for this week. Another thing that I like to do is all of the assignments come from the reading, the chapter of our course textbook, okay? At the end of each chapter, there are many practice assignments, and usually only one or two of these assignments become your assignment for the week. So I like to take the assignments from the reading that are not your regular assignments and code them up real time in a video so that you can see an example. Okay, so tonight I would like to do this program. I want to create and validate a well-formed HTML5 document that contains two text fields, a button, and a div. The text fields and the div must each have a unique ID attribute. Okay, so here I've got, this is probably a good idea to take something like this, and I'll post this on our discussion board. Take this page and use it as a template for every week. Except for the last few weeks, we are going to write an HTML page, and having this as a starting point would really help you out. Okay, so I've got my HTML page here, and the assignment says that I need to create a well-formed HTML5 document that contains two text fields, a button, and a div. Okay? So let's do this. Here I've got my hierarchy, okay, my HTML, and here inside of the body is where we will put our elements, okay? Very first, we need a div. A div is going to be higher in the hierarchy than a button and text fields, okay? You can see that I've got an opening div tag and a closing div tag. And I like Notepad++ a whole lot. I recommend this for the course because you can see here it highlights the opening and the closing tag. Okay, so inside of this div, we need to go deeper into the hierarchy. So we need two text fields and a button. So I'm going to create two text fields. And as you remember from the reading, the way we do that is by creating an input. It's extremely important that we specify the type of the input as text because, as you'll read maybe in some of your extra reading, there are many different input types, including radio buttons or checkboxes. If we don't say text, we won't get a text field, okay? And unlike a div that has an opening and a closing tag, inputs are self-closing. So you can see here that there's just one tag, there's no closing input tag, and it's got this funny syntax here where we just put the slash at the end of the tag, okay? This is just something that we have to memorize, which tags have an open and closing tag and which ones are self-closing, okay? So the assignment says to create two text fields and a button inside of a div, so I've done that now, okay? And now I'm also going to create the button. It's important to say that the type of the button is a button because there are, believe it or not, different types of buttons. And we actually won't cover that in this course, but just know that some buttons are meant for information, some buttons are meant for submitting data. Okay? We're not quite done yet, even though we have the div, the two text fields, and the button. Something that we're going to do in the future is write JavaScript code to go to an HTML document and pull values that the user typed out of text fields. And in order to do that, we need to give an ID. It's kind of like an address. If you were told to go pick up your son at the house, just like that, you would have no idea where to go. But if you were told go to the house at 456 West Main Street, you would know exactly where to go, okay? And the ID is like the address. The ID makes each element unique. I'll add an ID attribute and I'll say text box 1. Okay, all one word, no spaces here. This is important, okay? So we've got an address or an ID button on the first one. We now have an ID and address on the second text field, and we'll put one on the button as well. Okay, and you can put an ID on a div as well. This is just a good idea for many reasons, which we'll discuss more throughout the course. So, okay. Well, here we have it. We've got an HTML5 document that contains 2 text fields, a button and a div, and the text fields and the div must each have a unique ID attribute. So hopefully this will aid you as you're building your web pages this week.